Ink is a game for which I'd seen some pictures online before Gen Con 2025, so when I went to the convention, I was really curious to try it, and when I saw it on the table, it looked so nice. It had really good, really impressive table presence, so I tried it at Gen Con, liked it, bought it, played it some more. So sorry for the spoiler, but it's a game that I like very much, very much. Tile laying, drafting, and also rondelle mechanic, a lot of good stuff. Also, for a long time, rondelle was a very complicated mechanism, or I should say, it was a mechanic that was often associated with very complicated games. Think of Imperial. I'm just so pleased to see that you have a game like here, which is simple, and yet it has the rondelle mechanic. The idea is this, that you are creating a painting, you will be collecting tiles from that display, adding them to your starting tile to create your painting, and you also have 24 bottles of ink. And of those, at the beginning of the game, 12 are on a card, which shows two colors, and that you get the card randomly from a group of cards. So each player will have two colors associated with 12 other bottles, and those bottles can only be played on those two colors. And then you also have 12 more bottles that can be played on any color. So you got a restriction and then some freedom there. In order to collect those tiles, you'll be moving on the rondelle. Again, you add the tiles to your painting, you add the ink to your painting, and the purpose is to get rid of all of your bottles. When somebody has placed all of their bottles out of their personal supply, that triggers the end of the game. You play until everybody has had the same number of turns, and then the game is over. At that point, if only one player got rid of all of their bottles, that player is the winner of the game. However, during the last turn, when you play your bottles, you may also be able, we'll see how, to get some extra black ink on your painting, and that would be the tiebreaker. If more than one person got rid of all their bottles in the last round, then whoever has the most black ink wins the game. And this actually happens fairly often, I noticed. If still a tie, the tied player keep playing until the tie is broken. So, we are on that rondelle, as we said. And so players will alternate taking turns. Every player will have one of their bottles of ink on the rondelle to indicate where they are. And the other colors are blue, purple, and orange. So even that will have 4 colors, and that will be nice. You can move as far as you want, even until you go back to your initial tile, but you always move clockwise. Suppose that I decide to go there, I stop there, I will collect that. Now it's a rondelle, so what is the price for moving around it? Very simple. You can, again, as I said, go as far as you want, but every time that you pass that X there on that display, you have to stop there, draw a tile from this bag, and the tile will indicate a color that you need to cover on your display. So although it covers 2 squares, I need to I might place it in a way on my display that covers at least a red, at least a dark blue, for example, here. And that simply means these are mistakes. Those are areas of my painting where I can't build anymore. At the beginning of the game, there are only tiles with 1 X in the penalty bag. Later, you'll get more with double X's. So now I would have to cover 2 light blues or 2 red, for example. So that's the cost of moving around the rondelle. That's the incentive to try to not go too far. But right now, I like that one. I take it. And then we have a big bag full of tiles. It's really big, and you really have a ton of tiles in here. Huge variety. And then we replace that for the future. But now I got my new tile, hooray! And it's time to add it to my paintings. Everybody starts with a starting tile, and the starting tiles are the only ones that are single-sided. The other tiles are all double-sided, and they show the same pattern, simply mirrored. And so you can place your tile in any orientation and even mirror it. It's all good. It's all good. All you need to do, however, is to have your new tile touch at least one edge orthogonally and at least have one of the colors matching. So that would be a legal placement. That would be a legal placement, but ultimately even this one would be a legal placement because red is touching even if that one is not touching, is matching even though that one is not. And suppose then that I want to place this tile here, like so. For now, that's what happens. Suppose that later, I move the bottle, trust me. I acquire this other tile and I decide to place it there. So you see that some tiles have dots with numbers in them, and also sometimes there are white dots. If I complete an area that includes a dot with a number and that there is at least that size, so for example I complete an area of 5 that includes the number 4, then I completed that objective. What do I do then? I take bottles from my supply. Right now I completed purple, so I would have to take them from here, not from this card, because I need to complete yellow or light blue for that. And I place bottles there, as many as I can on dots. Now, the one that goes on the dot with the number is placed upside down, and that cannot be moved by game effects for the rest of the game. Then every other dot, all of the dots in the area, are covered with standing up bottles, and there are game effects that can move them. And so that would be that for now, and hooray, you already have three fewer bottles of ink to worry about. Now, there is also a display where we place random tiles at the beginning of the game, and these random tiles, as you can see again, and there's a number, so these objectives will change, or I should say these rewards will change. When you complete an area of this size, 4, 5, 6, or 7, you immediately trigger the corresponding advantage. With that 4, you can place one white spot on a free square, and there are several components that are used precisely for these kind of advantages. In this case, hey, look at that. I can place a white dot. That of course means I'll be able later to place more stuff there. And as the game progresses and my painting grows, maybe later I'll do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nothing happens yet, but oh, I like this kind of thing here. They're fun looking. And then maybe later I place that one there. That'd be very nice. Oh, yellow, I need those, so I place that one there. And then I simply place the rest there on my new little dot that I placed, and so on and so forth. Now, super important, when you place a bottle on the board, it counts as the bottle, the square underneath is of no color. That means it breaks down areas where you place them. So right now, for example, if I want to build out of those 2 purple ones, well, out of that purple area, I only have those 2. Right now, I don't have an area like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yellows anymore. I have an area of 2 yellows, a single lonely square, yellow square there, and a single lonely yellow square here. But at least the single lonely yellow square here, I can still do something with. I can build out of that one. But that would count as an area of 3, not as an area of 4, because nothing happens diagonal in this game. That's how we play the game. Collect a tile, moving around the rondelle. From time to time, you get a penalty tile from the bag. And I'll show you an example. Well, this would be pretty annoying. I need to cover at least one red, and so I could place it there. I could place it there. Maybe I could place it there. Suppose that's how I do it. So from time to time, you'll get those, inevitably, because you're moving around the rondelle. Collect tiles, get penalty tiles from time to time, get to move bottles from your personal collection to the board, and continue like this until a player has gotten rid of all of their bottles. And again, if the last round, suppose this is my last bottle, and this is my last bottle, for example, then now all the other dots I fill in with black king, which again may be the tiebreaker. Continue like this until you're either the only player to get rid of all of your ink at the end of the game, or be the player with the most ink at the end of the game, most black ink on your painting at the end of the game. Ink is a really fun game, super enjoyable. It looks great. Look, the only tiny nitpick that I have, maybe the display around which you place the tiles that will be sorted. I wish if it was a little bigger, creating more distance, and maybe more like a polygon rather than a circle, so you know exactly which tile is where. Just so that you know, I play the game and I also talk about the negatives. But this game is so good. That doesn't matter. It's a great game. I had so much fun playing it. I played it at Gen Con. I played it at game night. Everybody I played it with really enjoyed it, and that includes my kids, my teenage kids, and that includes hardcore friends, hardcore gamers who come at game night, more casual people. And really, the game is so simple. It's drafting and tile laying. It's so great to see that the beauty of the Rondelle now has been distilled into a very digestible game mechanic that anybody can play. Anybody understands going around and getting a penalty when you pass a certain part of the Rondelle, and yet that's really good. That's really great because, of course, ideally you're trying to move as little as possible, but you need to understand when it's the right time to do a full 360 and you're back exactly where you were, but now with a penalty tile. That also matters because it may be a time where I see there are a couple of areas on my display where, well, that's I can dump a penalty tile there, but other times I really can't afford to draw an orange now, so I'll do something else instead, and I hope that other people will take more tiles and will give me an option to be able to complete something I'm working on before I take a penalty tile. So a lot of considerations going on there. Yes, the game is mainly multiplayer solo in the sense that what other people do will only influence you kind of randomly because they'll remove tiles, but there's not going to be a lot of, I don't think so, thinking like, well, that person wants blue, therefore blah, blah, blah. That's multiplayer solo, but again, I don't see that as a negative because the game moves pretty fast. Very often, I don't like true multiplayer solo play multiplayer if I'm just playing 25% of the game. But the game moves fast enough that has never bothered me, and I'm very excited. Also, there's excitement of trying to figure out, of hoping. Well, I really want that tile. I hope that person doesn't take it. Triggering the extra abilities is fun, and they will change from game to game because they are those rewards are variable, so that's another nice element. The game looks great on the table with those shiny bottles that catch the light and they reflect it. Whatever the technical term is for what they do visually, but they do look great and it's very satisfying, as it is in so many tile laying games, to then see that your display grows. And so there's an aesthetic element on top of the gameplay element. So I like it. I like this game very much. I think this one is definitely gonna see a lot of time on the table because it can work as the main course of the night. It can also work as the second game of the night, which of course those are the games that get played the most. Because you can pick them up, you relearn them, even if you haven't played them for a while, you can relearn them quickly. And this is precisely one of those games that is very easy to learn, very easy to relearn if you haven't played it in a while. And so I think, I've already been happy with the ink every time I played it. I think I will be happy even more in the future because this is a game that's gonna get played.